You're a grand old flag, you're a high-flying flag, and forever in peace may you wave. You're the emblem of the land I love, the home of the free and the brave. Every heart beats true neath the red, white, and blue, where there's never a boast or brag. But should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eyes on the grand old flag. Happy Veterans Day, West Burlington Falcons. We celebrate Veterans Day every November 11th here in the United States, and it's a day for us to celebrate the veterans who serve in our armed forces and protect the freedoms that we enjoy here in the United States. Today we're going to celebrate Veterans Day through music. We're going to learn a little bit about our national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. We're also going to talk about some other patriotic songs that we hear from time to time and the history behind them as well. So, let's get going. Welcome to the music room. Welcome to the music room. Welcome to the music room. Ready, set, here we go. Welcome to the music room. Welcome to the music room. Welcome to the music room. Ready, set, here we go. If there's one patriotic song that everybody in the United States has heard before, it's probably our national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. We hear this song a lot, especially at sports events such as baseball games and football games and basketball games. It's sung before every single game. Now, I'm always surprised by how much we don't know about our national anthem. A lot of people don't know the history behind the song, who wrote it, when it was written, when it became our national anthem. And I think it's important for us to understand, especially as United States citizens, what our national anthem is really about. We're going to watch a short video that covers the history of our national anthem, and then we're going to talk about what you saw in that video, see how much you got out of it. This is the history of the Star-Spangled Banner.
We sing it at school, at important ceremonies, and even before sporting events. Our national anthem has a proud history, and it all began right here in Baltimore Harbor 2 centuries ago.
This was the War of 1812. We weren't doing so well. The Americans were losing at that time, and the British had just burned Washington. That was kind of scaring the people in Baltimore City, and Fort McHenry was the only thing standing in between the British ships and Baltimore City.
The American general in charge of the fort wanted to show the British that we weren't afraid. So he sent word here to the home of Mary Pickersgill. Mary was a well-known flag maker. So Mary, what did the general ask you to do?
Why, he asked me to make a flag that was so large the British would have no trouble seeing it from a distance. It was 30 by 42 feet. Each stripe was 2 feet wide and every star was 2 feet from tip to tip.
Wow, that sounds really big.
It was very large, the largest flag to ever fly from a flagpole, as I understand.
To give you an idea of just how big the flag really is, it was this big. When did the battle begin?
On September 13th, 1814, the British began firing on the fort.
We are at the fort's water battery. This is the main line of defense for Fort McHenry. Cannons like these are what kept the British ships at bay.
An American lawyer happened to be with the British ships. He was negotiating the release of a prisoner, an American prisoner of war, and so he was there for the whole bombardment and he saw the entire battle. And his name was Francis Scott Key.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light? Why did Key write that first line?
Oh, say, can you see? Key wasn't sure who won the fight. It was dark the morning after the battle. He's looking through a spyglass, and then he sees the giant American flag going over the fort and realizes that the Americans held out, the Americans won, and that inspired him to write the poem, the defense of Fort McHenry.
What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. When Francis Scott Key wrote his poem, there were only 15 stars and 15 stripes on the American flag. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. So what exactly are the ramparts?
The ramparts are the brick walls surrounding the fort, and ramparts is another name for a wall. So when Key says, "o'er the ramparts," "o'er" is another word for over, so he's saying we watched over the ramparts for the flag.
And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air.
During the battle, a bomb crashed straight through the roof of our powder magazine. If it had actually exploded, it would have blown the fort sky high.
Gave proof through the night that our flag was still there.
The British bombarded the fort for 25 hours, and they were out by Key Bridge, so they were 2 miles out on the water. Our guns could only shoot for 1.5 miles, so they were out of our range. So after 25 hours of bombing, they were not defeating the fort, and they weren't getting to Baltimore, so the British decided to leave.
What happened to Key's poem?
Well, Key went back to Baltimore, wrote the rest of the poem, and then he gave it to a local printer, and it was printed on handbills. It was an overnight sensation. To put it in modern terms, it went viral. It went up and down the Atlantic coast, and 2 weeks later, a music store, Carr's Music Store, changed the name from the defense of Fort McHenry to the Star-Spangled Banner.
When did it become our national anthem?
It became the official national anthem in 1931. For a lot of years, it was sung like a national anthem. They called it a national air, but it really wasn't until the 1920s that a grassroots movement came afoot to make it official, and Herbert Hoover signed it into a resolution in public law in 1931.
Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Yes, it does. 200 years later, our flag still proudly waves, spangled with a lot more stars. For TKN, I'm Carly.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming?
Each year, during the second week of September, kids from all over the country sing the national anthem at exactly the same time. This movement was created for the American Public Education Foundation by a seasoned journalist and former teacher. Its mission is to teach the words, meaning, music, and history of the national anthem to all school kids. It was also created to honor 9/11 and celebrate the birthday of the national anthem on September 14th. So when we hear that our flag was still there, we will always be reminded of the resilience of the American people, whether it's 1812, 2001, or today.
And the home of the brave.
For more information, log on to theapef.org.
Let's see how much you got out of that video. Let's start by asking ourselves, what year was the Star-Spangled Banner written? The words. Yes, the words were written in the year 1814. We were actually in the middle of a war. What war was it that we were fighting? It was the War of 1812. We were fighting the British. Now, this was actually the second time we were fighting the British in a war. We fought them earlier in the Revolutionary War, where we gained our independence. We fought them again during the War of 1812. What did the British do in Washington, D.C. that had the people of Baltimore very afraid? The British had just burnt down the White House. Keep in mind, the White House that we know today in Washington, D.C. is not the same one that was there back in the 1800s, the early 1800s. The one back in 1814 was completely burnt down. It had to be rebuilt to the one that we've got today. So the British had just burnt down Washington, D.C. They had burnt down the White House. They were on the move to Baltimore. The British attacked by ships at Baltimore Harbor, attacking Fort McHenry. Now, there was a problem that the Americans faced while we were facing the British. What was the issue that we had when we were battling the British at Fort McHenry? Yes, the British cannons were able to shoot farther than the American cannons. Ours could only shoot about 1.5 miles away, and the British were about 2 miles away from the fort. So we were unable to do much to them, only to keep them away from the fort. Now, the British continued to bombard us. How long were they attacking Fort McHenry? They attacked for over a full day, 25 hours. They attacked our harbor. Who was the person who wrote the words to the national anthem? They mention his name just once in the video. His name was Francis Scott Key. Now, a lot of people like to think that he was a poet or a composer because he wrote the words to our national anthem, but that wasn't really his job. What was his job? Yes, he was a lawyer at the time. Now, Francis Scott Key was actually on a British ship during the Battle of Fort McHenry. Why was an American citizen like Francis Scott Key doing on a British ship? He was trying to free an American prisoner who was being held captive on that British ship. He was trying to negotiate for the prisoner's freedom. He was able to watch the Battle of Fort McHenry from a distance. How did he know that the Americans, that the United States had won that battle? At the end of the battle, he looked at the flag that was flying. He noticed that it was the American flag that was flying. If the British had won, they would have taken down the American flag, and it likely would have been a British flag that was flying instead. So the fact that he saw a United States flag being flown at the end of the battle told Francis Scott Key that we had won the battle, and that is why he wrote the Star-Spangled Banner. Now, it began as a poem. Do we sing the entire poem when we sing the national anthem? No, the poem itself is actually quite a bit longer than what we sing. We only sing the first part of the poem. It eventually became a song, and then it became our national anthem in the year 1931. It was officially made our national anthem by President Herbert Hoover. The last question I want to ask you is about the flag that was flown at Fort McHenry. It's actually quite a bit different than the flag that we have today. Not only was the flag at Fort McHenry the largest ever flown in the United States, the stars and stripes on that flag are different than the stars and stripes that we see today. How many stars and how many stripes were on the flag at the Battle of Fort McHenry? There were 15 stars and 15 stripes. Do you have any idea why there were only 15 stars and 15 stripes at the time? Yes, that's it exactly. Those stars and stripes represented the number of United States that we had at the moment. We only had 15 states in the year 1814, which is why the flag had 15 stars and 15 stripes. How many stars and stripes does our flag have today? There are exactly 50 stars, one for every single state. 50 stars. What about the stripes, though? There's only 13 stripes. Any idea why there's only 13? If you dig a little bit further back into history, when the United States first began, we only had 13 states. They began as colonies. Those stripes are for the 13 original colonies. That gives us a little bit of the history of our national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. Now, I'm actually going to ask my friend Roland to help me out with this next part. I think it's important not only that we learn about the history of the national anthem, but also the correct way that we should behave when the national anthem is being performed. Roland, I'm going to ask you to help demonstrate to the class the correct way to behave when we are listening to the national anthem. Before the Star-Spangled Banner is performed, we ask that those who are able to rise, to stand for the national anthem. Sitting down should be reserved only for those who are unable to due to physical limitations. As a show of respect to those who have served in our armed forces, we ask you to remove your cap before the national anthem is sung. There are many who believe that you don't need to do anything in particular with your hands during the national anthem, but according to the flag code, we are expected as United States citizens to place our right hand over our heart during the national anthem. Those who have served in the military may opt to salute the flag instead. Your body and your eyes should be facing directly towards the flag. If no flag is present, you may stand straight forward instead. And finally, there's our voice. Many people choose to remain silent and just listen to the national anthem, but you're always encouraged to sing along with the national anthem as well. Those are the basic guidelines and etiquette for when we hear the national anthem. What so proudly we hailed at the twilight. Hey, West Burlington Falcons, Arnold here. You probably think that you know the Star-Spangled Banner really well. After all, you've heard it about 1,000,000 times. But let's see how much you really know. To get started, we need to go to the Musicplay online homepage. Now, if you don't know how to get there yet, you can go there directly from Mr. Henman's Canvas page. Go to his Canvas page and scroll down his homepage until you find the rainbow letters that say Musicplay. You can click on that to go directly to Musicplay online. It should look a lot like my screen here. Once you're on this homepage, you need to scroll down and find the button that says Units at the left side of the screen. You can click on that. Once you're in Units, you should already be at the Festivals and Holidays page. We need to find the button that says November 11th, just like this one. I'm going to click on that. And from here, we can find the Star-Spangled Banner. Underneath November 11th, I scroll down a little bit. Number 5, the Star-Spangled Banner, and I can click on it. Now that I'm on the Star-Spangled Banner page, there's a few things I can do. I can always listen to the Star-Spangled Banner by clicking the play button underneath the movies section. But that's not the real reason we are here. I want you to find the interactive Other button. It's got this big question mark next to it. You can click on that to bring up this page. And I'm going to click on full screen to make it a little bit bigger. Once you're on this page, you can click the Start button down below. It will take you to this menu screen. We now are looking for number 32, Put Lyrics in Order activity. I'm going to click on that. And now it shows me the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. I can click the play button to listen to the song and follow along with the words. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Once I think I know the words to the Star-Spangled Banner, I'm going to click on the previous button underneath. And now take a look. It's got the words to the Star-Spangled Banner, but they are all out of order. It's our job to put the words back in order. So let's think about the first line of the Star-Spangled Banner. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light? I see it down here below. I can click on the words and drag them to where I think they belong in the song. You can go ahead and work on this on your own. See if you can put all the words to the Star-Spangled Banner in order. If you need to listen to the music again, you can click on the play button to listen to the music again. Or if you're ready to check your answer, you can click Check Answer here and compare what you have on your screen to what is on the answer key. I hope you have fun figuring out the correct order to the words of the Star-Spangled Banner. We'll see if you know the Star-Spangled Banner as well as I do. Until next time, West Burlington Falcons. Hey, West Burlington Falcons, it's your boy Tony, here to teach you a fun song to honor our military. This song's called Chester, and it goes a little like this. Oh, Chester, have you heard about Harry? Just got back from the army. I hear he knows how to wear his clothes. Hip, hip, hooray for the army. Now, you might have noticed something about this song. It sounds an awful lot like another song called Yankee Doodle. And that's because it uses the same melody, which makes this song real easy for us to learn and to sing together. Let's try singing Chester all together. Oh, Chester, have you heard about Harry? Just got back from the army. I hear he knows how to wear his clothes. Hip, hip, hooray for the army. Now we're going to add some actions to go along with the song. We're going to do it one section at a time. The first section looks a little bit like this. Oh, Chester, have you heard about Harry? Oh, Chester, have you heard about Harry? Let's try that much with the song. Oh, Chester, have you heard about Harry? Just got back from the army. I hear he knows how to wear his clothes. Hip, hip, hooray for the army. Let's add section 2. Section 2 looks like this. Just got back from the army. Just got back from the army. Army. Let's try that much with the whole song. Oh, Chester, have you heard about Harry? Just got back from the army. I hear he knows how to wear his clothes. Hip, hip, hooray for the army. Now, section 3 is where it gets a little bit tricky, so follow along closely. I hear he knows how to wear his clothes. I hear he knows how to wear his clothes. Now be careful here. I don't want any of you alls poking your eyes out trying to go too fast. So take it easy now. I hear he knows how to wear his clothes. Let's do the whole song with those actions that we've learned so far. Oh, Chester, have you heard about Harry? Just got back from the army. I hear he knows how to wear his clothes. Hip, hip, hooray for the army. And the last section of the song goes like this. Hip, hip, hooray for the army. Hip, hip, hooray for the army. Let's try the whole song with all the actions. See if you remember every single one of them. Oh, Chester, have you heard about Harry? Just got back from the army. I hear he knows how to wear his clothes. Hip, hip, hooray for the army. Now, you probably think you got all those actions down pat. You got them known like the back of your own hands, but guess what? We're going to speed it up. We're going to change that tempo and see how you do at a faster speed. You ready? Oh, I hope so. Oh, Chester, have you heard about Harry? Just got back from the army. I hear he knows how to wear his clothes. Hip, hip, hooray for the army. Were you able to keep up with that speed? I'd call that kind of allegro moderato-ish, a little bit fast, but let's speed it up even more. We're going to go full on allegro. Oh, Chester, have you heard about Harry? Just got back from the army. I hear he knows how to wear his clothes. Hip, hip, hooray for the army. Well, certainly you can't go any faster than that, can y'all? Well, guess who can? Tony can. So let's just see if you can keep up with Tony Traviata. This is presto, very, very fast. Oh, Chester, have you heard about Harry? Just got back from the army. I hear he knows how to wear his clothes. Hip, hip, hooray for the army. Ooh, what do you think? I hope you have fun with our song, Chester. Feel free if you need to rewind the video to practice those actions again till you got them down even faster than me, Tony Traviata. Until next time, West Burlington Falcons. Music plays a surprisingly large role in our armed forces. For example, many of our armed forces use bugle calls to give certain signals to those who are serving our country. A bugle was an instrument that is very similar to the trumpet that we have today. Now, the biggest difference between a trumpet and a bugle is that the bugle does not have these valves. The valves on a trumpet are used to change notes. Bugles do not have these valves, and the only way we can change a note is by changing the way that we play through the mouthpiece and the airspeed as well. So, even though most of us don't have bugles today, we can still play bugle calls on the trumpet, and I'm going to demonstrate a few of the most famous bugle calls with you today. The first one I'm going to introduce you to is called Reveille. Reveille is the bugle call used to awaken those who are serving in the armed forces, to wake up and for roll call. This is one that we commonly hear in the morning. It sounds a little bit like this. This next bugle call is called assembly, and it signals the troops to gather together in one location. The last bugle call that I'm going to play for you today is called taps, which serves two purposes. Number one, it tells troops that all is well and that they can go to sleep. It is a signal for lights out. The second purpose is to be played at the end of military funerals. This is taps. Now, there are many more bugle calls than just the three that I played for you today. So if you want to listen to more of them, you can find a list of them at the U.S. Army Band's website. So long, farewell to you, my friends. Goodbye for now. Until we meet again, I said so long, farewell to you, my friends. Goodbye for now, until we meet again. It's been great to play and sing together, but now it's time to say so long. Farewell to you, my friends. Goodbye for now. Until we meet again, I said goodbye for now. Until we meet again. I sincerely hope that you got a lot out of today's lesson for Veterans Day, especially on the history of our national anthem and why we still sing the Star-Spangled Banner today. If you happen to know any military personnel or run into them on Veterans Day, make sure you thank them for their service to our country. Until next time, this is Mr. Hedman signing off.